Hi everybody, I'm Woofgang. I'm trying to start a new trend. I call it video word. We've got written word, we have spoken word. Now it's time to get some of our words out on the computer. We've got this great tool, YouTube. So what I want you to do is go grab your smartphone or a video recorder of some sort, write a story, have your buddy record you, or find a studio like I've got here and have somebody record you and then put it on YouTube. It's called Video Word. And let it be known, if this catches on, that it started at Berkeley Community Media on April 12th, 2013 in Berkeley, California with me, Woofgang. My story is something I wrote when I was reading a lot of horror, you know, Lovecraft, Stephen King, a lot of different things. And let me change my eye gear from patch to reading glasses. My story is called Never Kiss. Never Kiss by Woofgang. I hope that you will believe me when I tell you that my feelings for her were very strong. When I first met, I swore that I experienced love at first sight. Her white blonde hair gave off the impression of a backlit angel, a permanent glow around her head. But her face made her look like the mix between a whore and a werewolf. She had green eyes with flecks of black that could blaze into you like sunbeam into pale flesh. And her lips, they weren't large and they weren't small or thin, but they were oddly muscular, which is a quality I do not normally associate with lips. There was a small scar on the top lip, which, while garish, was also quite sexy. After we were introduced and started to get to know each other, I loved to listen to her talk for hours. But you see, I wasn't so much listening as watching her lips. They became a separate entity to me. I liked her, but I loved her lips. Watching her talk was seeing the lips at her best. Oh, how I wanted to touch those lips, but how? They lived on the face of a woman I had just met. I was so afraid she would say to me, my eyes are up here. But that never happened, and I went on with those lips on my mind, but never on my flesh. You probably cannot understand how excited I was when I first received my invitation to her home. I think I believed that the main reason I had never intimately known her lips was that I had never been alone with them. Her. I knocked on her door, which she opened just enough to reveal a cross-section of the lips, which I could tell were smiling. She invited me in, and I was surprised to find myself almost instantly surrounded by a swarm of tiny kittens. There were orange ones, and gray ones, and a few pure black. I looked at her surprised, almost with a gesture of help. The lips looked at me, smiled, and said, "They won't bite." I smiled, and she explained to me that she worked with a kitten foster agency and she housed kittens until they could be adopted. Considering the generosity of the act, I tried to move carefully away from them so I would not accidentally step on them. Just then I heard something crash on the floor. I looked up and saw something I would never been able to erase from my memory. She strided over to the offending kitten, a skinny orange fellow, picked him up and held her in front of his face. With the kitten suspended there, the lips reached out and barely touched the head of the kitten. The kitten started to convulse, then turned to dust in the clutch of the woman who carried the lips. The lips I had loved just moments before were now monsters. Knowing they were monsters did not erase them from my mind, though I no longer desired to touch them. With them constantly on my mind, I decided it might be best to keep them on my good side. I found myself at a farmer's market examining an array of all-natural organic lip balm. I purchased the most expensive. It had honey in it. I imagined the lips bathing in smooth sweetness and smiling. I gave the balm to the woman who carried the lips. Her name was Lisa. Lisa seemed a bit surprised by the gift, but the lips smiled knowingly at me. I thought Lisa and I might have a relationship, but shortly after I gave her the gift, a blood vessel exploded in her brain. Did you know that many primitive cultures believe that a woman's lips go on living long after the rest of the body has died? So it was with these. Sometime between death and burial, these lips managed to escape their corporal host and wander the earth. I saw them one night on my way home from the store. They moved not unlike a rabbit, the bottom lip acting like the hind legs of the rabbit. Seeing the lips on their own was creepy enough, but then I noticed them following me. I would leave the house for a walk and would look back and see the lips hopping along behind me. The lips grew bold, and the space between us shrunk rapidly. I so much feared the lethal kiss that in time I realized that I had to protect myself from these rogue lips. I went to the market and purchased a container of salt. The next time I noticed the lips following me, I was prepared. I lay down, a trail of salt behind me. It worked beautifully. As soon as the lips hit the salt, they convulsed. They had not the lungs nor vocal cords to scream, but just melted away. It has been years since I saw the lips of the woman that carried them, but they still visit me in my nightmares. Thanks. That's my story. Peace. Cut.